right, moving on to our spotlight matchup of the day. We're going to head over to college basketball, where number 23 Wisconsin, who is 10-2, 1-1 in conference play, is going to take on number 3 Purdue, who is 12-1, also 1-1 in conference play. Purdue, right now, the 13-point favorite with a total at 140. If the Boilermakers pick up a win tonight, it will be their 5th win in a row, 9th straight home win, and their 6th straight over the Badgers, who haven't seen a win against Purdue Archie since January of 2014. Will that change tonight? Who do you think is going to be coming out on top in this one, and how are you going to be betting this game?
Man, this is a really, really, really fascinating matchup because you're talking about two very stylistically different teams. Purdue is a very high-paced, fast-paced offense. They're top 5 in the country when it comes to points per game, field goal percentage, three-point percentage made. Like, they are a really efficient, good basketball team. It's the reason, by the way, they're tied for the second best odds to win the national championship behind Baylor, who's right now. I think, them and like 3 other teams are, I think, on FanDuel right now for like plus 1,000 if you wanted to bet them. I really like them. Anyway, outside of that, like you look at sort of the star power in this game, and it's very clearly on the Purdue side. Purdue's got really elite playmakers like Trevion Williams, who's averaging like 10 rebounds a game. Jay Nivey, who's a great point guard, who's about 17 a game. And then you throw in a dude like Zach Edey, who's like 7'5", and he's averaging like 15 and 7 a game. I don't know where all these 7-foot people come from, Kayla. What are they eating? I don't know where it's coming from. I didn't get any of it, to be honest with you. Like, there's some HGH somewhere in the soil wherever these kids are getting their vegetables. Excuse me. Outside of that, like, you look at Wisconsin. They're much more about their defense. Although they got a really good guard in Johnny Davis, who's 13th in the country, averaging over 20 points a game right now. And he's been really, really talented. In fact, he was battling for time to play on the under-19 Team USA team this last offseason. So he's really, 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 really good. But Wisconsin's a defensive team, and they sort of always have been that kind of defensive team, right? They got a little bit more tick in their offense this year. They got a playmaker there. But for the most part, this team is built on their ability to turn you over, to also not turn the ball over. They're, I think, 3rd fewest in the country in turnovers allowed per game, which is really, really good for them. But they're really also bad when it comes to the offensive efficiency side. They're not very good when it comes to field goal percentage. They're not very good at shooting the 3. They're just not a very well-equipped team to handle a team like Purdue for 40 minutes unless they can get them in the muck. Unless they can make this a physical, slower-paced game and keep the ball in front of them, they're going to be only in this game if they dirty this game up just a little bit that way and slow this game down. I don't know if they can do it, to be honest with you. Like, they've struggled in the last 2 games against Nichols and I'm trying to remember their last opponent, but they beat them by like 4. I'm missing out on that. Doesn't really matter. 2 non-conference opponents coming into this. I don't know if they're going to be able to slow this down enough for Purdue. 13's a lot of points in a Big Ten game, but Purdue is 7-1-1 against the spread in their last 9 against this here Wisconsin team. I know they're not all this Wisconsin team, but they've been pretty good traditionally against them over the last, and that goes over 7 years.
Yeah.
I think I'm leaning Purdue minus 13 this one, 2K.
Ooh, all right. That's a risky take, but I like it. And maybe it's not risky. I don't know. Yeah. For 2 good teams, like we said. So here's how I'm looking at it. According to the stats, the Boilermakers should have this one in the bag, right? But whether or not the Badgers can cover is obviously what we care about here on the show. So with that said, Archie, Wisconsin is 8-4 against the spread on the year, while Purdue is 7-5. This total of 140 has hit in 9 of Purdue's 13 games, while Wisconsin has combined for this total in just 2. Jaden Ivey, who is who the Badgers will need to contain. He leads Purdue in points, averaging 16.7 per game. On the other side of the court, however, Jonathan Davis is the ringleader for Wisconsin, leading his Badgers in points at 20.8, rebounds at 6.6, and assists at 2.5 per game. It's also worth mentioning that Davis has hit 31% of the 41 three-pointers attempted so far this season, with 4 in his last 5 games. So, moral of the story, Purdue will be looking to shut down Davis at all costs. It's also worth noting that Wisconsin has, like you said, the 4th, I think you said 3rd, I think it's 4th lowest turnover rate in the NCAA, while Purdue is not forcing a ton of turnovers. So that is also something to keep in mind. So with that said, that is why I'm going to do something a little crazy here and go the flip side of that, Arky, and I'm going to take Wisconsin at plus 13. I know, it's scary. I won't be taking the total. I'm confident Purdue will win. And having watched not a lot of Wisconsin games this season, I am blindly confident that they can play them closer than 13. So that's where my head's at tonight.
Yeah, I'm weird on Wisconsin. The last two non-conference games really haven't been very impressive. They were being blown out by Indiana a couple of weeks ago, and then they come back to win that game. I think they were losing by like 24 in that game at one point.
Yeah. Come
back to win that game. So it makes me a little hesitant on Purdue. But again, this is sort of a small bet kind of night on this one, too. This is in the, like if you, I don't like to do units, but I'm on the smaller one unit kind of side if you like units for Purdue to cover.